My financial proposal is for a way to revive the sport of NASCAR, which over the past decade has seen a pretty noticeable decline in revenue and uh, overall popularity. And as a NASCAR fan, I would love to see the sport get somewhat close to the popularity and the money machine that it used to be, and hopefully that I can live and see and be a fan of the sport when it's kind of in a new age of popularity. Uh, sport of NASCAR has been around for 70 plus years, and it's experienced a lot of changes since its inception in 1948, and even before that, uh, it's gone through a lot of changes, gone through a lot of growth, and it's experienced some bumps and bruises, but for the most part, a lot of the changes and evolutions have been for the better. Um, it was a steady climb for the sport through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and then by the 1990s, as mentioned in one of our modules earlier in the year, uh, NASCAR was the fastest growing professional sports league in the country, and NASCAR reached its peak popularity in 2005, and really the mid 2000s, early 2000s as a whole, the sport just could not find a way to fail. Essentially, it was just it seemed like year after year after year, revenue was going up, popularity, TV streaming, everything was just going up. And then since 2005, sport has seen a steady decrease, and then really over the past 10 years, I guess you could say it's seen a very noticeable decrease in a lot of aspects of the sport. Uh, at one point, NASCAR could rival the NFL on a Sunday or Saturday whenever they had a race, and now that's not necessarily the case. Viewership is it's like comparing apples to oranges when going against the NFL, and really when comparing NASCAR to the NFL, the revenue that is being brought in is drastically different. The NFL brings in about $1 billion to $2 billion a year, whereas NASCAR brings in about $660 million a year. And I'm not entirely sure of the peak revenue that NASCAR is bringing in, but if they're pretty close to the NFL, you'd have to imagine that they're not too far off from what the NFL was making. Um, as far as what has led to the decline, I think there's many things. Again, I've been a NASCAR. I don't know if I stated it before, but I've been a NASCAR fan for at least 10 years now, and I came in right as the sport was starting to decline. But as a kid, I didn't really notice. I didn't understand a lot of the financial things. I didn't. I just I knew the fast cars going around in a circle, and I liked the sport. But the on track performance, racing formats, lack of competition are, I think, a lot of those are three of the bigger things that have caused the decline. Fan favorite drivers have retired. TV ratings have dropped substantially. Uh, Major sponsorship turnover, and then the charter system, which I understand it's implement why it's been implemented, but I think that it could be worked a little bit better or not at all. But again, that's something I don't know enough about to say that it should be completely removed, maybe revised a little bit. Uh, as far as recommendations and analysis, I think that NASCAR could offer more ways to watch races. Uh, they're pretty set, I guess you could say, in sticking to their broadcasting rights or just broadcasting in general on standard TV, Fox, NBC, and now they have Fox Sports, NBC Sports. They can they've shown they have some flexibility in broadcasting their races, but given how easy it is or uh, how much people want to be able to stream stuff, uh, it'd be beneficial for NASCAR to find more ways to stream for a little bit cheaper. I know that Fox Sports, NBC Sports Network, all their sport network affiliates don't necessarily have the cheapest rates for streaming their events. They found a way to have a combination of streaming services like Hulu, ESPN Plus do, and Disney Plus do, um, that would be a little bit more beneficial in them getting their races on more platforms. Uh, Series sponsorship. The Winston Tobacco Company, was a long time series sponsor for the Cup Series. The Xfinity, their minor league series, I guess you could say, have also experienced a lot of turnover in their series sponsorship, but uh, for the top series to have as much turnover as it has, uh, I won't say it's frightening, but it's something that could be a little bit more beneficial to have a consistent series sponsor. Since 2003, when Winston decided to leave, or their contract or whatever agreement was not renewed, Nextel, which turned into Sprint, uh, they became the series sponsor for close to 10 years, and then in 2017, Monster Energy drinks, they became the series sponsor for the Cup Series. I think maybe having a sponsor that is near and dear to fans of NASCAR and then the drivers of NASCAR, uh, having a series sponsor that is fitting towards the sport may be beneficial. Changing the formats of races and playoffs, the current stage racing format, it's kind of been hit and miss. So as well as the current playoff system, uh, it hasn't been well received by the drivers or the fans. I think going back to the roots and more traditional race formats, more traditional playoff or point system that fans and drivers know and love, and kind of have a better understanding, may be better than the direction that they have NASCAR has gone in the past, really past 5 years, as the point system in racing has changed a lot. Uh, More variety and competition. I think adding a new manufacturer, a new track, which is something that NASCAR really in the past couple months has done. They have added some variety in the tracks. They've added a little bit of variety in how they do their races. Uh, I think is definitely a step in the right direction. So I can't go into too much detail because it's something that they've already put in motion, but really it's just going to be a matter of how will this work. And then removing the charter system, again, I don't know enough about it, but I feel that if we have more of a free market where there's not 36 set drivers for every single race, and there's a little bit more of an opportunity for drivers outside of those 36 to try and compete, it might be more beneficial for the drivers themselves to have new competition, and then for fans to invest in somebody that is maybe a little bit more out there, just somebody different from the normal group of guys that consistently make races. Reflection. I think the root of NASCAR's decline has been in the balance of competition, and it's kind of, I don't know if I could say it's crazy, but looking back 20, 30 years ago, there were a lot of big name drivers that a lot of people rooted for, and then uh, seeing how current drivers and drivers in the past 5 to 10 years have talked about previous drivers. Um, I think just having more guys on track, more manufacturers essentially, or more manufacturers as well, more teams, um, creates this feeling or this level of competition that was seen 20, 30, 40 years ago. And it's kind of been over the past 5 or 6 years, we know who's going to win certain races, we know who's going to win certain championships. It's essentially the same 5 to 6, 7 guys that are winning and being competitive. And having a way to balance that competition within teams themselves, and then within the series itself, will kind of kickstart, I believe, some more competition, more revenue that's going to be brought in through streaming, through uh, more people attending races, more sponsors coming in, all those things. Conclusion: I think that NASCAR's at a crossroads. I think that it's at a point where it could continue to take a pretty steep decline, or it could plateau a little bit and then have a rise again. Um, I think that they've made a lot of NASCAR as a whole has made steps towards becoming a new NASCAR, but I also feel that they can go back a little bit and get some of their roots and take those things forward and bring them to a new generation of fans while also making older generations of fans happy about sport that they know and love, and helping them get back into it, and helping the current financial situation in NASCAR improve and get back to where it has been in the past, and even take it even further than where it was in the past.